Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Irish Uncensored. It's been a long fucking time.
It's been a very long time. It's been a very busy off season, and we haven't evolved into doing a ton with the off season yet. But we're back week one, Ohio State pregame. We thought that it'd kind of be cool to do like a live element for the pregame instead of like something pre-recorded, just so it's very raw and uncut.
Which is probably good. We'll see.
We'll see. I don't know if it's good. We'll find out.
And if you ever want to jump in with us too, I can have up to like 10 people on here and we can chat together about the game, about past games. But this time it'll just be us. Mm-hmm. So let's get into it. Let's dive right into the game. What do you think about the 17.5-point spread?
Well,
we're going to go right to there because I think it's like the biggest thing, right?
Yes. I mean, it's in my personal opinion, it's ridiculously large for a spread. Game one for a top 5 matchup. We're talking about a team that's losing 2 first-round receivers, and everyone acts as though there's not going to be any kind of hitch just because they played well against Utah. Well, offensively, they played well against Utah. As everyone knows, they did not play well defensively against Utah. But I'm just going to be quite honest with you guys. I put $500 on the plus 17.5, and whether I'll either be, somewhat happy, really happy, or very, very sad tonight. So we'll see, but I'm feeling good about it. I saw that line and I thought it wasn't real. I was like, this has to be an error, right? I mean,
yeah. So my thoughts on it are typically Vegas is right. Honestly, mm-hmm. Vegas does a really good job. By the way, hi, Mrs. Tootsies. People comment in chat what you think as well. And how are we sounding too, Mrs. Tootsies? How's the audio? This, I don't think they're going to be right because it's game one.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know what we are yet, and neither does Ohio State. And so I think a lot of people are over-predicting what Ohio State's going to be. They're obviously going to be a good team. They're good year in and year out. But I think people fucking forget that we are too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Notre Dame is fucking disrespected year after year, and this point spread says it all. Like, we're number 5 in the nation, which maybe that's too high or too low. Who the fuck knows? But the fact that we are 17.5, I get we're on the road at Ohio State. It's going to be tough, but I know you were saying to me earlier, Buchner. Is it Buchner or Buckner?
I always say I say Buckner, so I'm cool. We call it whatever.
He's played on the road already in a tough environment.
Yeah, Virginia Tech last year, where he played probably the biggest stretch of game that he's played at least a half of football. Going into Virginia Tech and playing, I'm not saying it would be more hostile than game one in Columbus, but it's a pretty hostile environment. It's not like he's new to it. And that game, as you all remember, was a very close game for Notre Dame. So, yeah, it's not like he hasn't participated in those things before. We're talking about a kid who early enrolled. He spent all last year in the offense. And he's now, going into his second 2.5-ish years into the same general scheme, same offensive coordinator. But for some reason, if you listen to any analyst who's not someone who covers Notre Dame, we're like throwing some true freshman fish who's never played before. It's pretty insane to me, the amount of disrespect that he's gotten. He's already been called one-dimensional.
Yeah, he's definitely not one-dimensional.
I've already heard him called one-dimensional, and I know he hasn't shown us a lot with his arm but that's because he wasn't asked to do those things.
Yeah.
He was asked to run. And that's what he did, and he did it well. Just to put it lightly.
He's got a big arm, too. I would compare him to Everett Golson. I think he needs to be our Everett Golson this year of 2012. Everett Golson, that was his first major year of playing time, and for us, and we went to the national championship.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, at this point in his career, he's going to be better than Everett was, or capable of being better, just because Everett in that moment, Everett had a big arm. He's relatively inaccurate. Just to call it what it is.
Yeah.
And he could run. And I think Buckner has more.
He was a playmaker, though.
Yes.
And that's what we need from Buchner, because we have skill players all around the field, especially at running back.
Yes.
And tight end. You want to talk about tight ends? We've got Mayer and who's the backup? Number 84. I forget his name off the top of my head. I'll look it up here in a bit, but we have gods at tight end per usual, and we're going to be really strong.
It's Kevin Bauman, and then Kane Barong, and we have Holden Stace and Eli Raritan behind those guys, and I know they're all going to play. I know one of the concerns, or not, I don't know if it's a concern, but interestingly enough, like I kind of wanted to hear today before we ever came on, like what are Ohio State's like beat writers saying about this game? So I searched in YouTube Ohio State podcast just to kind of see like what it's all about basically, and found a relatively well followed one. It's called Ohio State Football on Cleveland. They have 10.1K subscribers, and they all, in a nutshell, predicted Ohio State to cover. I think one of their guys predicted Notre Dame to like backdoor cover, but all of them have Ohio State putting up 40 some odd points. Mm-hmm. Our offense was called one-dimensional.
They really broke down what Ohio State can score too against other teams, and what they were scoring, like 28 points against this team, 30 points against that team. I'm not going to go through it all. Who fucking cares? This is a Notre Dame podcast.
Right.
But the bottom line is they are a big score type of team. And I think because they're in the trash Big Ten that we're going to be a lot tougher than fucking Big Ten. Now, they might score 30 points on us, but I don't see them scoring into the 40s. And that's going to be what covers. So
absolutely. Well, and the other part that they brought up was just they started comparing this year's defense for Notre Dame to years past for like Penn State, Michigan, like to last year's teams they played. And they said, without a doubt, Penn State's defense was better than this year's Notre Dame defense, and Michigan's defense last year was better than this, Notre Dame defense. I mean, it's a fair statement to make in the sense of like you already know what 2021 did, but Notre Dame defensively, it outside of Kyle Hamilton, brings back everyone. And what did we do to replace Kyle Hamilton? We replaced him with an All-American.
Yep.
So
I think our defensive line especially is key for us really throughout the whole season. But we are deep, we are big, athletic. We're always fucking good. We have Isaiah Foskey, who's my probably pick of the year for Notre Dame. Last year's Kyle Hamilton is going to be Foskey. And we also have Mills, Cross, Avignola, Osafu, Mensah. Is that how you say it? Yeah, Rubio, Lacey, another Avignola. Like, we're deep as hell. And I think they're going to have trouble passing and running because of our D-line especially. Now, Grant was watching a podcast, and they were saying how we might be going 3-down linemen a lot, and that fucking scares me.
Yes. I was not a fan of the 3-down last year, and honestly, if you guys remember, whenever we were 3-down last year, it seemed like we were getting gashed on the ground. And with them having Travion Henderson, like that's a scary aspect. I mean, I just hope that whatever variation they have to it, it's enough to not get gashed. And I hope if it does get gashed, that they have enough wherewithal to like change and make that adjustment and get out of that. Because honestly, we should have 4 D line. With how good our D line is, there should be 4 D linemen.
Oh, yeah.
I know that guy might be like an up guy and be a D lineman.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying
we have to have him out there, and we're not going to replace many of our 8 D linemen with anyone in the secondary that's better at what they do than our D linemen. That's how good they are. Like our 8 might be better than our 5th cover guy.
Yeah,
just so good. And I expect big things from our safety and D line this year. So let's get into like our receivers and running backs.
Okay. So I mean, let's talk with running backs first. So obviously you have Chris Tyree. I know he bulked up. He put on about 10 pounds of what I presume to be muscle. From other things I've seen on other podcasts, it sounded like from interviews with him that he doesn't really necessarily feel heavier when he's running, but he can tell a difference when he's actually making contact with somebody else. So
That's good.
That's good. Yeah, considering his injury history, it's good.
Yeah.
We have Logan Diggs, obviously coming off of a torn labrum, I believe. So I'm curious to see if Logan plays a lot tonight or at all, or just sparingly here and there, as a decoy, whatever it may be, just with his injury. And then we also have Audric Estime, the man-child who looked like he was 27 years old at the age of 18 and had been a professional bodybuilder. I'm extremely curious because
will he play? You think?
Yes, I think Audric is going to play a lot. I think that's your goal line and third down back at a very minimum. I'm curious to see what he could do with consistent carries. I'm very curious. Like if our offensive line improves how we think it should and hopefully will, I'm curious to see what a 230-pound running back coming through the hole is going to look like. I mean, in this day and age, linebackers are getting lighter and lighter and lighter. I mean, 230 is going to match anybody just about that you're going to run up against at the second level. So if he can, hang on to the ball and our O-line blocks well, I think Audric could have a big night.
Yeah, and bringing up the O-line, we have basically an entire returning O-line that all have significant playing time or are very good, and including a freshman, right?
So we have a guy, I think Spindler would be considered a sophomore, but he barely played last year.
Yeah.
He may play some, so that brings up like the Patterson thing. Like, is he going to play with a sprained foot? How effective is he going to be? Is he going to give it a go? Is he not going to give it a go? I haven't heard anything yet. I'm imagining he's going to suit up and try it. And I'm sure they're going to.
We'll probably hear in the pregame.
Yeah, they're going to juice his foot up. He's probably not going to be able to feel his leg. I mean, you know how that goes. And
O-linemen are tough.
Yeah,
I feel like he's a tough guy. And
he's going to want to give it a go.
He's going to want to. I hope he's feeling good enough to go and doesn't push it too hard, because this is game one. At the end of the day, if for some reason something goes bad and we lose this, or even Ohio State loses this isn't the end-all be-all for the season for either team, because game one against a big team, especially for us being that it's on the road, like this isn't the biggest game ever.
No.
Like it's a big deal this week, but in the perspective of the whole season, it's not.
I mean, if we're speaking frankly, all Notre Dame really has to do is not get their doors blown off. Like if Notre Dame goes out there and they play a game within 7 to 10 points, I mean, honestly, maybe even 14, like there's not going to be like issue, if that makes sense. Like people, if you get within the 7 to 10 range, people may respect you more. 14 range, they're kind of like, well,
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they can do that and take care of business and then win out, Clemson's going to be a tough game. USC is going to be a tough game. You win out, you're in all likelihood in the playoff.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the scoring yet because we're not that far, but I want to talk about the receivers. I think this is the question mark for me, especially after losing Avery Davis, right?
Yes.
That we have great receivers, but are they Michael Floyd, Golden Tate great, or are they who's the Dwinger guy that was there? Goodman great? Like who are these receivers? Like Lindsey, I think, should be tearing the field up.
Yeah.
But he hasn't proven that. He'll have one big game, one big catch, and then have a big drop.
Yeah.
He's not open as much as he should be, especially for how much he blazes people.
Oh, yeah.
His speed from day one was like exceptional, and he just hasn't shown that next level receiver skill. But according to what I've heard in like the preseason stuff, he is blazing people.
Yeah. It sounds like from like Tommy Reese and like other people around the program that he's had a really good offseason, that he works hard, that he's supposed to be, what we think he can be. And Tyler and I discussed this before. Really, truthfully, he's probably like your third option. You probably want to first go to Mayer.
Yeah.
Right. Second, probably Styles, and then Lindsey. So if a guy running a 4.3 to 4.4 40 is getting there, second, third, probably third, maybe fourth best cover guy.
Yeah.
I like that. In a fifth-year senior, a guy who's got a ton of experience, a guy who's going to hopefully make some plays for us this year, because every year feels like a Braden Lindsey breakout year. Yeah. You're like, all right,
this is going to be the year.
Ever since he was a freshman, watching him run jet sweeps and stuff.
Time.
Yes.
It is his time.
He's going to be crucial. If he is not what we think he will be this year, Notre Dame's offense will be worse off. Yes.
There's no doubt about it. Like we have skilled players everywhere, deep, but We need somebody to be that next guy
Mm-hmm.
that's like borderline Heisman player. He doesn't necessarily have to be that level where Golden Tate was like 5th in the Heisman that one year, but he's got to be up there competing with like 10 touchdowns and 1,000 receiving yards at least.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't know where we're going to get it from consistently. I think it's going to be a very spread offense, not counting Mayer.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see like kind of transitioning off like obviously our top 3 guys, a receiver is going to be, they list Jaden Thomas as a starter, which we haven't seen really anything from him. So I don't know what to expect out of him. I don't know if that's just kind of how it's going to look on the depth chart, but he's not going to play a ton. Like, you know how that is. But
yeah, I mean, maybe he won't even start. Who knows? Maybe we'll be running out there with 2 running backs. Like
a lot. We could.
And I would like that.
Tyree in the slot would be him or Diggs in the slot.
Or even have 2 back with Buckner.
Yeah.
For blocking or whatever.
Right.
Split out
Absolutely.
From that. And with our 3 strong running backs, including the big dude who I forget his name.
Estime.
Yeah, Estime. He could be a good blocker. He should be. We already know Tyree is.
I'm curious to see. So, like, obviously, when your quarterback can run the ball, if everyone blocks a guy, speaking,
it should be wide open.
It should be a good thing. So, what I'm wondering tonight is how much do we see Estime back there? Yes. How much do we see Estime
some crazy
and
shit.
Buckner take it from the gun and Estime just run forward and just crack somebody? Because at that point, I mean, it's a body on a body. You have to get a body on a body. And I know it's not just that simple, because if that was that easy, Lamar Jackson would score every play. But in the sense of that, if Notre Dame can do that effectively and our offensive line blocks how they should be able to, Buckner could have a big night rushing the ball.
Between his rush potential, our running backs, O-line, and Mayer, that's like the one thing about the receivers that I'm questioning, because I don't really know who's going to step up and be the guy. I don't know if we need them to be huge. We just need 1 or 2 guys to be consistent, and that's what Avery Davis was. It was such a big loss.
Yes.
But we need 1 or 2 guys to be consistent. We could potentially run a very run heavy play action offense, maybe where we do like a pass option in there with Mayer. I mean, deadly. Mayer has been a man since he was 16.
Yeah. I mean, it could be something as simple as like, and just think about all the possibilities on the offensive side of the ball. Tyree or Lindsey jet sweep, fake the jet sweep, give him the ball. I mean, the thing of it is that the offense really could be anything that Tommy Rees wants it to be, as long as the O-line blocks. That's what it, to me, like if I had to pick an offensive key, it's got to be offensive line blocking.
Yeah.
Like if they play well, we have a chance.
It's such an old man thing to say, but I think it's O-line and D-line.
Yeah.
Could be a big part of our entire season. If our D-line dominates, like I think they will, we're going to be tough.
Yep.
Real tough. And Ohio State's going to be fucking shocked that they're not playing the gods Penn State in the Big Ten.
Listening to them talk about it, like, and I mean, obviously they have somewhat of a following, so I imagine.
Hey, John, how about the defense corner specifically?
So we've got obviously Cam Hart. He's going to be our number 1. I'd expect him to kind of be playing more to the outside. So like if Smith and Jigba is playing, inside, he's not going to see a lot of Cam Hart. I would expect him to see probably a little bit of like Tariq Bracy or somebody else,
number 2.
depending on what kind of package we're in. So I would say Clarence Lewis. Our top 3, if you're going off of it, is Cam Hart. Clarence Lewis is probably our second. Him and maybe 2A and 2B, Clarence Lewis and Tariq Bracy. The thing that I like about those guys is that they bring a hellacious amount of experience to the table. Them getting cooked by Oklahoma State might have been the best thing for the corners. They were embarrassed. I mean, is there another word to use? Embarrassed. They didn't necessarily tackle the best.
Playing well the first half too. It just like all spiraled out of control.
Yeah, it got ugly. And I think that they've watched film. I think that they've grown from that. I think that they can be different players. But those are going to be the 3 main guys you see, all senior caliber, experienced players. I mean, behind them, you got Benjamin Morrison, Jaden Mickey. Mickey's, I think, more of a guy they'd want to use like in the slot or like a nickel package type deal. I know Bracy can play outside, but because of how small he is, it doesn't always go the best. And I mean, I'm not going to lie, Ohio State's receivers are beasts, but at the same time,
definitely.
they're unproven. This is like one of those things. Can you think of a time where there was a freshman and he was a stud, but you're playing a senior and the freshman is a stud and he's going to get some over, but the senior has that knowledge. They have the knowledge. They watch the film. They know the tricks of the trade. I think that it's good for us, and I think, with their experience.
And because we're talking about the corners, you have to bring up the safety as well.
Yes.
We replaced Kyle Hamilton with
Brandon Joseph, All-American, who's played Ohio State, who picked off Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I mean, who's better, no offense, in my opinion, college-wise, Justin Fields was a more dynamic player than C.J. Stroud just because of his overall athletic ability with his legs. I mean, you're talking about Joseph, a senior, or maybe he's a junior. Either way, tons of experience. Okay. Houston Griffith back there, DJ Brown back there, and Ramon Henderson. All four of those guys have played a ton. Like, for the life of me, like, you are having to, like, if you are saying Ohio State minus 17.5, you are saying that our experience counts for nothing. They're acting like we're walking back a brand new defense.
Yep.
Everyone, like we replaced no one. I mean, it's crazy to me. Crazy.
Yeah, we're not going to go into too much Ohio State talk either because we definitely don't know Ohio State like that.
No.
But we know their receivers are excellent. Their running backs are excellent. The question is our defense going to be like our 2012 defense where we have guys step up and the team come together and we're just a fucking boss out there, stopping everything on the line, picking things off, making sacks, sack fumbles. Dude, I remember going to games in 2012 where we'd have like 3 sack fumbles like in the same game. It was insane. And then Teo would come up with some crazy fucking pick. How about that fucking Teo doc? Did you watch it?
I did. I mean, obviously as ND fans, I think most of us supported him, but
he got straight fucked.
Yeah.
Like, I even remember back then when it was happening because we went to the game where everyone was wearing the Lays. So we were there in the middle of it, like that week that it happened. And just, I thought it was weird after the fact from day one. I just didn't think Teo had anything to do with it.
No.
And he didn't.
No,
he really didn't. Anyone that gave him hate, like I understand the memes about the fake girlfriend thing, like his arm around no one. Is that funny? A little bit. Yeah, of course. I think that's kind of funny. It's just a meme. But past that, anyone that was actually like mean about it to him or like that's some shit. And I didn't realize how much it affected his career in football as an NFL player. He said he like second guessed everything he did to himself, like on the field, where he was most comfortable in life. I never expected that. To come out of him. Like that would be hard to even say as an athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, I think he gained a lot of credibility from the documentary. So good for him. And a lot of people apologized publicly.
A good guy.
Yep. And he's just a great person in general. I mean, he even, wished the best to the person who did all that to him. And I don't think that I could do that.
What a great, I don't know. Manti is the man.
For sure.
Manti fan forever.
So if you were going to have a offensive, like, impact player for the year, like, who is it going to be? Not just today, but for the year.
So you can go about this different ways. Who needs to be, who is going to be, because there's one very obvious one, and that's Mayer.
Yeah.
He's going to be the man. You were even saying before when we were talking about it, maybe the best tight end in Notre Dame history.
I'd say it's pretty,
which is fucking
solidified.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, if he has a big year.
Like how I go through the last 15 years of tight ends. We have probably like a dozen NFL tight ends, many of them like borderline Heisman, like Rudolph or Eifert.
Yeah.
Dude, so many. But I feel like it's got to be Buckner.
Yeah.
Because I think, like I said earlier, our entire season, like in 2012, was on Everett. Even though our defense was what it was, we wouldn't have been there without Everett making plays. And we need that playmaker. Like if we're a consistent running team, we have to have somebody back there to make big plays on third down, big plays down the field randomly, surprise plays, like with his feet, with his arm, anything. Just don't make mistakes either.
Yeah.
Like Everett was a turnover machine when he had the ball.
He fumbled a lot.
He fumbled too much. Luckily, many times he fumbled out of bounds.
It was scary watching Everett.
But we need Buckner to be a playmaker and to be consistent with the ball and not turn it over like crazy. So let's just hope he plays a consistent game today. So who's your offensive player of this year?
Of the year? Oh, man. To me, I think that Lorenzo Styles is going to bust onto the scene in a big way. And it's kind of like a little bit of a cop-out because, I mean, his last game against Oklahoma State, I think he went like 7 for $120 and a touchdown. But
if he can do that every week.
But exactly. I just think we see that on a more consistent basis, that he's proven he's a reliable person, that he has that rapport with Buckner, that they're going to be a dynamic duo for the next year or two at the very least. And I think he could easily be on the verge of having a 1,000-yard season. I mean, the dude's talented. And an interesting tidbit, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are aware that his brother plays for Ohio State, plays linebacker. He was like a 5-star recruit, and he actually bumped up a class. So he technically should have been like a senior this year in high school, but bumped up a class. So now he's at Ohio State a year early. So
just another storyline to this fucking game with like Freeman going back to Ohio State for his first regular season game.
I mean, Alford's still at Ohio State.
I know.
There's a lot of ties.
John said, if we play D like the Wisconsin game last year, we should be fine. Go Irish. Yeah. The Wisconsin game. It's hard for me. Last year was a really strange year for me personally with Notre Dame, with Cone back there. It felt like we never had an identity.
Nope. Wasn't all his fault.
It wasn't all his fault, but it was partially his fault, partially Kelly's fault. Like, oh, Kelly. Man, we even brought up Kelly this whole fucking time.
I know, we did good. We did good.
Yeah.
I mean, concrete shoes Cone.
Now I'm thinking about Kelly.
I mean, concrete shoes Cone. I know our O-line was bad, but man, if they're bad, then you got to throw a guy that's a little more mobile back there. I mean, at the end of the day, what makes it good about switching to Freeman is that it says what the statement was, that we're done with mediocrity. Like 10-win seasons are great, but let's be honest, what every Notre Dame person wants is to win a big game. Win a big game. I mean, honestly, just start small. If we only beat Ohio State this year and we lose to Clemson and USC, we won a big game. We won a huge game.
What are they, number 2?
They're number 2 right now.
Doesn't really matter. Preseason rankings are fucking garbage and should be thrown out after week 1, in my opinion. But they're a top team in the nation, one of the top teams in the nation. And if we beat them on the road, even in week 1, you're right, that it's a big win.
Yeah, huge win. Biggest win. I mean, I think I heard Pete Sampson at Irish Illustrated say it would be the biggest win since '93. I think Miami.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
I mean,
we don't remember that one.
No, I was about a year old. So, I mean, this night could be one that you remember in Notre Dame fandom for the rest of your life. 30 years from now, when you're still watching Notre Dame football.
Some of our losses are that memorable too, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. But we're turning over a new cheek.
Yeah.
Today's the day, guys. Today is the day.
Yeah. So I guess we can give our score prediction. We've been going about a half hour. We didn't really have a timetable, but we're just kind of talking shit about the game, and we'll be giving like our thoughts after the games as well. Like maybe Tuesday or ish.
Kind of depends when the schedule works out.
But you can check us out. We have a Irish Uncensored Facebook page. You can like and subscribe here. We'll be talking a lot of fucking shit. I can guarantee that. No matter what happens,
we'll have a lot to say.
Talking so much fucking shit.
We will have a ton to say, I promise.
But so, what is your score prediction for the game? And what's everyone else's score prediction too? I'll be pulling those up.
I'm gonna say 34-27 Notre Dame. I'm gonna say that we win. I'm gonna say that we were actually winning by a little bit more, and they scored a late touchdown to make it closer. But we hang on. Like, I'm really hoping that that's the case. Honestly, at the end of the day, no matter what, all I'm really looking for is a good game. play competitively
and to win. But yeah,
yeah,
a good
but
game
I mean,
for sure. It'd be
just
fucking suck if it
knows
wasn't.
Alabama 2020. Like, let's do,
Yeah, so I do agree with one thing about the Vegas spread. I do think it's going to be a double-digit game. I think it's going to be 31-21 Notre Dame.
I like that.
I think Ohio State's going to get at least one big play touchdown. So whatever, but I don't think they're going to be able to score on us easily like everyone else thinks so. And I think we are going to come out blazing. I just have a good feeling. I hope we're up the first half and we hold on through the fourth quarter. I think if Ohio State jumps out to like a double-digit lead, that's not great.
No,
especially for
bad.
game one with Freeman on the road, and
we've got to survive some punches.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it boils down
There you go,
to.
John's one touchdown off of what I predicted. So yeah, another Notre Dame prediction win. We haven't seen many of those this week, so let's just hope we're fucking right. And when we are, we're going to be talking some mad shit.
Mad shit.
And if we lose, we're going to talk mad shit too. So
I'm definitely going to be getting in some of those guys' DMs and in their mentions on Twitter for sure. If it
hitting
goes
them up about, like, why'd you think this was going to happen?
What happened? I mean, because you have to understand that the world would be so astronomically wrong if Notre Dame wins this game. The entire world is just they're wrong beyond wrong. I mean, this would be talked about for forever. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They're crediting this Ohio State offense as the second coming, the best offense in football. They're literally calling it that. Like, this is going to be the best, most high-powered offense in football this year.
I think we're going to be the best defense they play all year. I understand Michigan's good, and there's other teams. I definitely don't know everything about the Big Ten because I don't watch trash on TV, but I still think we are way more competitive. Like, not competitive, just like strong than anyone else thinks.
I think
it's not just my fandom.
No.
Because there's been years when we go in, we're like, we're weak here and here and here. Like, we're not really weak. I think receiving might be our weakest.
I think we have
overall.
Question marks. I wouldn't even call them weak.
But if you had to pick our biggest weakness, it's definitely not safety, definitely not corner.
It's not linebacker. It's nothing on the defense.
Nothing on the defense. Second would be Buckner.
It's got to be wide receivers.
He would be our second biggest weakness.
That has to be.
Just because it's a question mark.
And it's more
so
unknown.
We have two question marks, but no weaknesses, in my opinion.
I agree.
That could be weaknesses.
I mean, you bring back two of your top three running backs. I know Kyron is Kyron, but damn, man, Tyree and Diggs were solid. Yeah. And then Estime's been getting hype all year.
God, I miss Kyron though.
Yeah.
Fuck. He just plowed somebody for like 3 yards and get up and act like he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
I
hope
Kyron.
Somebody brings that energy. That's one thing before we go. I want to see what kind of energy we bring under Marcus Freeman. Because Brian Kelly, everything just seemed like you'd have a Kyron, but you don't have like a whole team full just like hype.
Yeah.
Did you see that Jason Admiola quote where he was like, "We're the most badass motherfuckers on the planet"? Type shit?
No, dude, fuck yeah.
It was like, let's go. Like, I'm so ready. As soon as he said that, I was like, I'm so ready for Saturday.
That's good too, because it obviously Freeman was a former player at Ohio State, so it's like he brings that swag, like that confidence that
younger guy.
Played, he was a player. He's not fucking Brian Kelly out there yelling at them, treating them like fucking kids. I never really liked that about Kelly, although it didn't bother me as much as some people. But I think Freeman's the answer. I really do. It's hard to say that before his first regular season game.
Yeah.
Ever as a head coach.
Yeah. It just feels different.
It feels good.
It just feels different. I mean, outside of we talked about this earlier today too, is like the implosion of the second half of Oklahoma State. I think that has a decent chunk to do with why Mike Elston didn't get the D coordinator job. I think that he was calling the plays. I think that Freeman kind of let it rock, and he basically, and I'm speculating, I don't know for certain, but I think he failed his job interview for the defensive coordinator job, which is why they brought in Al.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll get out of here, but make sure you like and subscribe because we're going to be coming back with more stuff. We love to have people on in the future, talk with us, maybe even do a recorded video. We can work out like a time with you, and especially if you're another creator on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, it'd be fun to chat. Even if you're against Notre Dame, that's fine. come on.
We'd love to talk about
shit.
it.
You know, like let's talk about it. It's fun. But past that, go Irish. And let's beat OSU.
Go Irish.